Hi, my name is Farida, and I talk about living a life of ease through remote work and travel. If any of these topics are interesting to you, you are in the right place. Please like, comment, subscribe, and share with a friend. You never know who you might help and bless today. Thank you. So today I am rating my 5 top remote jobs from least to greatest, talking about the pros and the cons. So I hope you enjoy, and I hope you apply to at least one of them by the end of this video. So number 5 is ETS. ETS is impactful work. I've worked on maybe 3 projects with ETS, but it was a repetitive thing for several years. ETS stands for Educational Testing Services. If you had to get, any certification or get certified to teach in Texas, you're probably very familiar with ETS. They were really big news when I was getting my certification back in 2009, 2010. So they are a huge company. So ETS, the pros. It is impactful work. You're working on the STAR test. You're working on exams that help students get to the next level. And you are using this knowledge. If you're still in the classroom and working for ETS simultaneously, you're using this knowledge and this feedback from the calibration and the training to go back and help your students get inside tips to pass these standardized tests. So that was something that I really found beneficial and was able to share with other teachers so that they can help their test scores improve for ETS. Another thing is that there are many diverse scoring roles with ETS. They don't just do testing for students, they have tests for adults as well that you can score as long as you have the correct qualifications. If you're not going to be an English teacher scoring a math test for adults, it's just not going to happen. So as long as you're qualified, you're usually going to get the role, and ETS does a good job of matching you up with what you're best suited for to test. Also, they will contact you seasonally, So for me, seasonal worked, that could be a con for someone. But the fact that they kept in contact with you and let you know, hey, there's another job coming up. Would you like to accept? This is the role. This is the training. This is the salary. I really like that they kept me in the loop and invited me back 2 or 3 times a year for testing. So the cons, let's talk about the cons. Let me look at my notes. The cons are that it can be very isolating. You are not interacting with kiddos, adult learners. You are basically just scoring those papers and moving on to the next. Sometimes you'll have a brief conversation with a supervisor, but those were super rare. Usually you'll look into the homepage and see if there are any scoring notes or any updates that you need to know. It could be very isolating. Also, it could be kind of repetitive. You're just scoring paper after paper, and after the 100th paper, they start to kind of blend together in your mind. So it's hard to keep being excited about the role, if that makes sense. And I'm the kind of person who needs a new puzzle to solve every day, a new challenge, something different. So I did not like the repetitive nature of that role, but again, it was seasonal. So you deal with it for about a month, 2 months at most, and then you're done with that scoring opportunity. Another con is the salary. Usually I would get paid $12 to $15 an hour for scoring. And while that's not the worst, it's definitely not the best I've ever received for a scoring opportunity. So I would just be working a lot. I'd try to get 40 hours in sometime to really make it actually make a difference and see what I was doing. And if you're working another job while you're doing 40 hours with ETS, that can get kind of taxing and tiring. And I'm all about living a life of ease, as you can tell by the channel. So that is ETS, and that's why it scored the lowest. It's still a good stepping stone, a good opportunity. So check them out, see if they have any remote scoring positions available in your area, and go for it and see if you can build off of it. And if they've changed recently, they might have changed in recent years and have better salary and better scoring opportunities. All right, so number 4 is K-12 Stride. K-12 is an online school that is it has a really cool teaching model. You are not teaching 8 hours a day. I taught a couple of days a week, and taught about 4 classes in those couple of days. The other days I'm scoring, doing social, emotional learning activities with students, a meeting with co-workers and colleagues, lesson planning and grading. So I like the way it wasn't 5 days a week, teach, take home a bunch of papers, score, lesson plan over the weekend, and do it all over again the next week. So that is a huge plus. Yearly contracts. I knew that my job was relatively safe. I'm not 100% because no job is. Relatively safe for the whole year contract, whereas other remote opportunities, they can cut you at any time. They might say the contract lasts for 6 weeks, and they're like, oh, actually the job is done, guys, and it's just been 3 weeks. So knowing that I had a whole year's contract of a 40-hour job is really nice. So that was definitely a plus when it came to K-12. I think that was my first full-time, non-seasonal remote job. I could be wrong. My memory is shady, but I really did appreciate that. I talked about it a little bit already, but next is the flexible schedules with K-12. And they do a really good job with not overburdening you with a bunch of classes. You teach about 4 classes a week and then you're done, which is really good. Really worked for my lifestyle and my schedule. And Fridays were like light administrative tasks, so I can pray Juma on Friday, go and, get a little ice cream, take the kids for pizza, have pizza night on Fridays, or we would go to this place called Alhambra and we'd have our chicken and our rice and, and have a nice time on Fridays. And take them to Blockbuster, showing my age now. Go to Blockbuster, pick up some movies, Cinderella with Brandy and Batman for the boys, and have a nice Friday because K-12 allowed you to do that. Very flexible. Also, they have a really cool, innovative teaching technology at K-12 where it's kind of like you're in a Zoom session, but it's set up like a classroom. So yes, in addition to the whiteboard and stuff, you have enhanced ability to, oh, wow. Sorry for the noise if you guys can hear that. You have a enhanced ability to mute certain people or bring them to the front, take polls, and, it's really kid friendly and really intuitive. So that platform makes those students feel like they are there with you. And those kids were so cute. There were some actors in there. There were some kids who were like in the rodeo, so they needed a flexible schedule as well. And there were some kids who were like low key, they were working. They had, part-time jobs, so they needed flexibility so they can work, and they were helping to provide for the family as well as finishing up their school. So it was really cool, really flexible. Great collaboration. Believe it or not, I had wonderful collaboration with my colleagues with K-12. We had great conversations. We helped each other make lesson plans. We talked through issues, talked through problems. We were getting an influx of students that year because it was 2019, 2020, 2021. So we had an influx of kids that year that were more of the traditional students. So we problem solved together. It was very, very good. The cons were the performance pressure. We had a lot of indicators that we had to always be checking in Power BI to make sure that we were reaching a certain number of people, having a certain number of results and measures of our performance that could be kind of stressful. So that was a downer. Also, huge workload. Imagine, because of this work at home model, you can have double, triple the amount of students in your classroom. So even though that didn't make a difference when it came to teaching or classroom management, because I had that mute button, it did make a difference in terms of grading and evaluating papers and giving meaningful feedback. That was a task. I don't miss that task at all. And the pay was not as competitive as working at a brick and mortar school. So I think that if the pay was competitive, I really would have been sad to leave that job. If the pay was competitive, that would have been worth it, but it really wasn't. So it was just like, okay, let me move on, find something else. All right, so number 3 is College Board. I love, love, love College Board, and I still work with them to this day. College Board, specifically working for the AP program, has been a wonderful remote opportunity. It is a wonderful, wonderful professional development opportunity. You can get together in person or online for a whole 7 to 10 days, depending on your job. I was a question leader, a table leader, and just a reader, which are different levels with different amounts of pay and different lengths of time. I will talk about being a reader. Reader is at the very bottom. So basically, for AP Language and AP Literature, I am a reader. Sometimes I get invited to be a table leader, which is someone who's in charge of the readers, or a question leader, they're in charge of the table leaders. So basically, what you do as a reader is you evaluate thousands and thousands of papers from all over the US of students that have recently taken their AP test, which is used to get a higher GPA at their high school, and if they pass, it's also a way to exempt them from that course in college. So it's really, really important. It's a big deal. It's really important. And being an AP teacher, you usually get a little bit of extra clout at the place you work with, a little bit more respect, fewer courses, fewer classes. So yes, it's an honor to be an AP teacher. So as a reader, I would go in, or later on, I would work online evaluating thousands and thousands of papers. First, you calibrate, and then you score. And it is a great professional learning opportunity. You talk with professors and high school teachers all over the US, because professors can do this as well. And you just learn a lot. You learn a lot about scoring. You learn a lot about rhetoric, language arts. You learn a lot about rhetoric. You learn a lot about, rhetorical moves and choices, and how a paper is synthesized and how a paper is analyzed and what makes a good paper. And you use the scoring system to do it. So you got to get calibrated. And as a supervisor, your job is to calibrate the readers so we're all a hive mind. We're all the Borg working together on the same page. And as a reader, your job is just to score at a good rate and stay calibrated. And, they fly you out free of charge, pay for all your room and board, and you're just scoring until the job is over. And it's fun. It is a lot of fun and a great opportunity to take all those papers back that had the scoring rubric information, nothing classified, no sensitive data. Take it back to your classroom and be like, guys, here's what I learned. This is what we're doing this year. This is the key to success. So, it's a great professional learning opportunity and a great job. Another pro is the compensation is incredible. You are making twice or more than twice as much as you would make for College Board or the standard remote jobs that you'll find in education. So I think that the baseline $35 an hour, you are making good money. And along with the professional development, that huge 56-hour certificate professional development, if you're still in the classroom, you've pretty much finished your requirements for the year just by doing that. So it's a win-win. All right, so let me talk about the cons. The cons is that it's really short term. You're doing it once a year, whereas a lot of other places you can get 3 to 4 jobs per year. So this job is just to get a quick burst of money and move on. You're not going to be getting invited back several times during the year unless they're testing something and they want you to be a part of their, beta testing or something like that. So yeah, that is definitely a con. I wish there was AP testing twice a year. That'd be awesome. Another con is that it can get kind of repetitive as well. You're seeing sometimes the same kind of paper, nothing special, over and over again, and they just hit that middle rung and it's like, oh, this is boring. So you can get kind of worn out by the repetitive nature, probably why they only do it once a year for about a week and a half. All right, moving on to number 2. My number 2 favorite position is Pearson. Pearson remote scoring has been wonderful for me. It is flexible. They call you in several times during the month for positions, opportunities, and those positions last a long period of time. So Pearson is my number 2 because they come through when you really need to take a trip, or you really need to pay a bill, or you really need to pay because your son broke his hand playing basketball. So it's really a great opportunity. What else is great about Pearson? Oh, global opportunities. You can work from all over the world. Do I know much about it? No, I just know that they're global. So you can definitely get a position from not just the US. You can get positions from other places. Also, they have a very supportive culture. If you accept a job and something comes up, you can't take it, you can reach out and tell them, hey, I have to turn this down. And they're just like, no problem. Can we keep you in mind for the next position that comes up? And you're just like, yeah, please, thank you. So they're very cool about that as well. The downside is, again, it is not full-time yearly contract. So if you're looking for something that's a year contract or, not even a contract, just employment, Pearson might not be the route you take unless you look at some other Pearson opportunities. Also, the pay is not as competitive as College Board. And that's probably because the jobs are longer in nature and they offer jobs more often. But when I look at my W-2 stubs for College Board versus Pearson, Pearson always wins because they have so many opportunities. So that's why it's my number two. It might be less money, but there are more opportunities. And number one, my number one favorite remote job is WGU, Western Governors University. WGU has the best of all worlds. It is collaborative. There's a new problem to solve every day. It's interesting. I get to talk to actual people every single day that I'm working. Great work-life balance. I get to take lots of time off for travel or rest. I love that. It is not seasonal. It's all year round as long as I'm blessed to be working with this company. And I really appreciate the leadership. Oh my gosh. They are just like, you didn't take a walk today? Go take a walk. You didn't take a break today and eat some lunch? Get off of this computer and go take care of yourself. They are just really, really supportive. And there's like, when's the last time you took a vacation? Take a vacation. So, I have a new supervisor. He's really, really cool and just so supportive. If I make a mistake, he's like, oh, we're human. We make mistakes. We can always fix them. I mean, I am blessed to be working for WGU. Their salary is competitive. I did not have to take a pay cut to stop teaching and come and work from home, which is what I had to do with K-12. I took a significant pay cut. So I didn't have to do that to work with WGU. Their pay is significant and there's always room for advancement. They treat you just like a regular employee, and I really appreciate that. What else do I love about WGU? I mean, just the career development. They're always trying to have a gathering. A 1 week we'll fly you out and we're going to train you and we're going to let you have fun and we're going to let you team build. And it's just like, who does that nowadays? Who does that? They're so obsessed with diversity, equity, and inclusion. And in a climate like this, that is so, so important to me. And I appreciate that. So just all around, I struggle finding the cons. The cons would be probably the cons of any job. Sometimes you just don't feel like it. Sometimes you just don't feel like working, period. So I am definitely putting WGU as number one on the list. I think that you should definitely apply and interview and use the tips on my last video about interviewing for WGU. Search for it in the remote work playlist, because don't give up. I applied for WGU several times on several different years before I finally got in. So just don't give up. Don't give up. Circle back around to all of these jobs and keep layering, keep building your resume and getting your foot through the door while you're working on site at a traditional job. Just keep trying, keep pushing, and you will get through the door. All right, thank you so much for listening. Please like, comment, and subscribe. A link to all these jobs will be in the description box. Please also join us for our UK tour, Sisters on the Lake. I can't wait to bond with you guys and just enjoy the clean air and nature. It's going to be so much fun. I will see you there and talk to you soon. Bye.